I swear to God, someone in Acura is trying to sabotage the company, because there's no way the RSX nameplate is going to an EV crossover. That just blows my mind.
Last on her list, oh yeah. I used to be last on her list, oh yeah. Till she heard I'm back on my shit. Now I listen to a tisk bragging and shit. Oh, that's the type of shit that get a nigga pissed off. I hit that like 20 times and was missed calls. Been suffering from flashes and withdrawals.
What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Got another video for you guys today, and that's gonna be talking about Acura's depreciation in the last couple of years. I thought of this video because I got a couple comments on my last video saying that I'm asking for way too much for my current Acura with 61,000 miles. It is a 2022 TLX A-Spec front wheel drive with a bunch of modifications, and a lot of people weren't too happy that I was asking for 34 grand for this vehicle. So I thought today would be a good idea to talk about the current depreciation and the current market for these Acuras, not just for my TLX in particular, but also the entire lineup as well. Now, if you go on Kelly Blue Book and look on the current market for the average asking price for a 2022 Acura TLX A-Spec with this many miles, it's going to be in the mid-20s. So 25K to 27K. CarMax was going to give me 22, I believe, when they saw the vehicle. Obviously, it is modified, so that does devalue it a little bit for them. Now, I know that's pretty low, and that's because Acura's depreciation on these cars are pretty bad. Now, I do have the original window sticker for this vehicle. Keep in mind, I didn't pay full price for this car because I had a really good trade-in during the time of COVID and got a really good incentive to trade my previous Acura, which was a 2019 TLX A-Spec, for this car. So sticker price, as you guys can tell there, is $44,450. The only add-on this car has is the Apex Blue Pearl, which is $500. So that brings it out to $45,995. So if you do the math, in about 2.5 years, this car has lost 20 grand in value, which is kind of crazy to me. Did not think Acura products would be depreciating this quick. Now, keep in mind, these cars in particular have gotten quite expensive in the last couple of years. A lot of people were saying the values for Acuras don't make sense, which I completely understand. A lot of people go for like the 3 Series, the Audi A4s, the Lexus IS in this segment. Now, to be honest, 20 grand in depreciation in the last 2.5 years is pretty terrible. I'm not gonna lie. If I'm being completely honest, I didn't think Acuras and Hondas depreciated this much. I always thought they had their values, especially with the Honda Civics and Accords. But nowadays, that has completely flipped. I will say the cars that hold their value well now are the BMW M340i's. Those have always kept their values pretty high. That is one thing to consider. If you are going to get one of these used, you definitely can find one for a good value. I just wouldn't purchase one of these brand new because you're expecting a pretty bad depreciation within the next 2 to 3 years. Now, the main reason why I want to sell this vehicle is because it's not really a performance-oriented vehicle, right? It's very heavy. It's close to 4,000 pounds. It is front-wheel drive and has a 4-cylinder. Doesn't sound too great, and when it comes to handling and performance, it's not great, right? You definitely can step up to the Type S, which is around 60 grand. But for that money, I'd rather go to the competitors and get like an M340, Audi S4. Even some used F80s you can find for 40 grand. Unfortunately, they do have higher miles and multiple owners, which is why that has been a dilemma for me, just because I can't find the clean F80 that I want. Now, who's this car for, right? So if you're looking for a car that can get you to point A to point B, that can just be a comfortable daily, that looks kind of sporty, this is definitely the car for you. Don't expect the best gas mileage because I've been averaging around 21 to 20 miles per gallon. So it's not the greatest, and I don't drive too aggressively with this vehicle. The best I've gotten combined was around like 21 to 22 miles per gallon with combined city and highway driving. Definitely not a fuel efficient vehicle, but it definitely does have the looks if you mod it to your taste. So if you guys were interested in using this as daily, and let's say you had kids or want to put backseat passengers, I will say the backseat room is not the greatest. It is a little bit tight. Because this is such a large sedan, I was expecting quite a bit of good leg room in the rear, but that's quite the opposite. And because of this teardrop sloping roofline right here, the headroom is actually compromised for the rear passengers. So that's one of the biggest complaints with this vehicle, is not having enough legroom as well as headroom, because it's pretty cramped back here. And this is behind my seating position. I'm not the tallest guy, I'm only 5'7", but even when I'm sitting behind the wheel, people still complain that's pretty tight back here. So that's something to keep in mind if you are going to be using this daily with passengers in the rear. The overall creature comforts are great. I didn't have any issues with them. The sound system is really good. The ambient lighting is really cool. Everything works in terms of technology, so the old trackpad is still functional, but keep in mind, this is nothing that's really fancy. There's no new tech. It's all pretty dated, which is why a lot of the buyers who are considering this get deterred, because it's a little more dated compared to competitors like BMW, Audi, etc. Right? In terms of the looks, I still love the way it looks. It never gets old. Every time I drive it, I still get compliments. I get a lot of mixed questions about Integras and stuff like that. But yeah, if you know, you know, right? And the way it currently sits, I still love the way it looks. The suspension, the wheels, the color, and all the OEM accessories that I put on it. But yeah, I just think it's time to move on to something new and something more performance oriented that I can drive and really enjoy in the canyons. The aftermarket support is not that great with these TLXs, and they're not as popular on the streets, right? Because everyone goes to competitors for the value. So I would definitely say if you are in a niche market where you're like a diehard Acura fan and you want something that looks cool and sets itself apart, then yeah, the TLX Type S is great for you. And unfortunately, they're not making those anymore after 2025, so they're getting discontinued. I really wanted an urban gray on red Type S, but they're really hard to come by, and dealers are still asking for an arm and leg for them. So yeah, that's my current predicament. I'm still looking for that F80 that I really want, or even an E92 BMW. Manual, of course, and whether it's a 6-cylinder or V8, I think I'm ready to depart from this Acura experience just because it served its purpose in terms of being a nice daily, and it looks really cool. But in terms of something that's more performance oriented, I think I'm ready to step up to the competitors. Now, in terms of the other Acura products, I will say the depreciation goes pretty bad as well. The RDX and the Integra also have pretty bad depreciation. Especially the RDX, I was expecting that to have a little better value just because they're a lot more popular, and their Acura's #1 sales is the RDX and MDX. Stay away from the MDX Type S because if you're going to buy that new, you're definitely going to face pretty bad depreciation. In my personal opinion, I think Acura's on its way out, just like Infiniti is going to be. Whether it could be bought out or merged, who knows? But right now, sales are not looking too good. If you guys have followed Acura, you guys know we released the ADX and as well as the RSX, which is going to be an EV hatchback, I believe. I swear to God, someone in Acura is trying to sabotage the company because there's no way the RSX nameplate is going to an EV crossover. That just blows my mind, right? So that's been pretty disappointing. The Acura ADX is on its way as well. Again, that's just a rebadged and refinished Honda CR-V or HR-V. So yeah, Acura right now, I think it's trying to find its identity. It's kind of like giving it a last hurrah before it goes on its way out. And I definitely will miss this design and these times when Acura, really nailed it with the looks. I would say you can find these used for a great value. And don't buy these new, that's all. Because the value of these will tank and you'll lose your money in the next 2.5 years. But that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. And if I can answer any more questions, let me know in the comment section below. And I'll see you guys soon. Peace.
Last on her list, oh yeah. I used to be last on her list, oh yeah. Till she heard I'm back on my shit. Now I listen to her tisk bragging and shit, oh.